the exception. You're actually the rule. So as I went on, I realized that when it comes to thinking that you're the exception, it really comes off of like a superiority complex, almost like it can happen to everybody but that specific person. I also see this happening with people who are very intelligent or with a lot of wisdom. Just because you have a lot of wisdom and knowledge does not mean that you can skip over lessons and things. I feel like you're not the exception when it comes to behaviors, patterns, and honestly, any kind of projection that other people throw at you. That's very common. And just because something happens to somebody else does not mean that it can't happen to you. I feel like, sorry, they just learn from others and make sure that doesn't happen to them. That does not mean that it can't. You could prevent it, but that does not mean that it can happen to you. The second one, I'll say the center everything. A partner, a parent, friends, everything but yourself. You should be the one on the top. You should be the one that is taking care of yourself, who's caring for activity, self-care, looking after yourself. Just you should be at the top. I mean, it is your life, so you should be the one on top anyways. But just the fact that everything that you do should be of you and for you, not for nobody else, or to seek validation, which a lot of times is what censoring other people does. Giving them your energy, your power, your access, just everything. And when I notice that a lot with the people around me, it all links to the self-concept, your self-esteem, how you feel about yourself. And most times a lot of people don't feel good about themselves or seek something that is outside of them, that they think is outside of themselves, but really is inside of them. And honestly, that's the best thing that you do. Disappoint people. That's the first that's the first step to centering them. Disappoint them, get them out of there. Just kick them, kick rocks, and just put yourself in there. You should be your only priority at the end of the day. Unless you have kids and that's a whole other thing. But you should be your own priority. Self-mastery. Self-mastery is key. Self-mastery is knowing yourself, understanding yourself, accepting yourself. It's just having that discipline and management of emotions of yourself, whatever it is that you want to do. It's kind of, for instance, like knowing the difference between good and bad and making that choice of what you want to do, going for this or that, and then knowing how to go about that. It's truly having discipline when going to the gym, or motivation, action, and other kind of disciplines and other things that you want to do. But it's really understanding yourself to the point where nothing can break you, where whatever somebody says about you doesn't really affect you because you understand who you are from the very top of your head down to your feet. And along the way, you might lose people, you may feel lonely. It gets lonely at the top. And with self-mastery, it's just a whole other level. Like, it's levels to, loving yourself, understanding yourself. But with self-mastery, it's like the highest of the highest. The next one for me would be to make the best out of this life. We all get only one chance. I mean, there's people with stories of like dying and coming back to life. But I'll say you have one chance to have this human experience. So why stress about what somebody thinks or why somebody that you're 30 when you can just start over and move on and live your life? Like, imagine thinking of what someone thinks of you for years and wasting your time and putting your energy to something that doesn't matter when you could be out there doing something that you're passionate about or just relaxing and just being yourself. Like, you only have one chance. Like, think about this, one chance, and you're wasting your time, your years, in one person, one comment, whatever it is that you may be going through, rather than making the best out of it. But you have to think about what is it that you want and go for it and make that a great experience overall. Because at the end of the day, once you pass away, what are you taking with you? The last part I'll say, don't allow grief to become a permanent place of residence. We often, especially in the 20s, are still trying to figure ourselves out and also trying to almost catch up with everyone else. Like, if someone has a full time job or they have their own place or they're getting married or kids or whatever, or just doing things that are almost expected from us or placed by society for us to follow. And honestly, it's kind of frustrating if you're going out about that, where you're not meeting those expectations. And honestly, you become sad and you start grieving even the person you thought you were going to be around that time or who you thought you were and you realize that you weren't. So it's very normal around these stages. Even with around these stages, you're losing people, family members passing away, friendships ending, a lot of processing and changes, and that can bring a lot of grief. So it's important to understand the grief, accept in which stage you are, and continue to transition. Because you can be there for so long, and it can become something that can go from days to months and even years. So it's important to understand it. Know that you can be there, but not make it a permanent place to be in because it can become your reality. Now, as I'm continuing in my 20s and seeing how things play out and learning about myself and learning about people, I understood that have I known and have I really listened, maybe I would have missed out on certain lessons that were very important into my development as a person and maybe your development as a person as well. So I feel like regardless if we know about these things, because of how we're often naive or we think we know it all, we don't really listen and we just let it play out. We eventually experience it and we say, damn, if only I listened, if only I knew. But this is part of the experience to understand what you're going to experience or the things that you're seeing and choosing whether you want to participate or not. But there's other things where if you're meant to experience it, you will. So don't be afraid to learn, to experience changes, to go through the motions of your 20s, your 30s, 40s, even 50s. Because what can happen at one stage can happen at another. One can be better than another, but it's important to embrace each and one of those and truly enjoy yourself, your life, and everything else overall.